had a little over a day, really, to get here on notice and fill in for the late opponent switch, as you see the size difference right away, Sergio.
Yeah, this shouldn't last too long. I mean, Faria has a MMA background, so she's going to be tough. But as far as boxing goes, I think Piñeiro, as soon as she lands a good shot, I want to see how Faria responds, because that punch resistance isn't the same from MMA to boxing.
And a quick knockdown right there. And I'll tell you what, I mean, Faria took this fight on short notice. She weighed in yesterday under the super lightweight limit, and she's still giving up 7 pounds here to Piñeiro. So for Piñeiro, it was, with Suarez bowing out so late, it was either face Faria here or have no fight tonight.
No, look, you got to credit Faria for taking this fight and saving the show, so hopefully she's well compensated, because right now she's having a hard time adjusting to the size and the southpaw angle of Piñeiro and that reach, that distance. And Piñeiro does have pop behind that left hand, like we saw there.
Piñeiro trying to improve to 8-0.
It'll serve Faria right if she could punch with Piñeiro. You know, you got to just throw caution to the wind and punch with her, even though that's going to expose you to get hit with something big. But when you're dealing with a taller fighter that's coming at you this aggressively, you just got to punch with them. Just like that, in between the shots.
Try and do whatever you can to stave off the aggression here on the outset.
See, what you do whenever you're being out-punched like that, and you're not really a boxer, like we said, she's an MMA background. You got to punch in between the shots, and don't throw punch for punch with the better puncher in Piñeiro. You know, she's a combination. She's a volume puncher. So you're just going to try to intercept in between, and just like that, and try to get some body shots with some respect.
Faria clocked her with a left hand moments ago, and another as the knee stumble for Faria.
Yeah, big left this round, personally.
Start of round 2. As Piñeiro's trying to win her second straight fight on a Matchroom card. We talked about that left hand. That was on display beautifully in that fight in June.
No, it really was. I mean, she's tall, she's long, she's strong, but a good body puncher. See, I love when tall fighters, you know, go to the body, and especially early. Young fighters that are tall usually like to keep that range, fight behind that long jab, and they ignore the body. But that's what I like about Piñeiro. She bends down, bends her knees, and goes downstairs responsibly.
She's ranked as the #1 challenger for the WBA. We know Lauren Price, the current champ, ranked as the #1 challenger at the IBF as well, rated 3rd by the WBO. But she's yet to fight off Puerto Rico, off the island of Puerto Rico. So she knows that there is an emphasis here to impress despite the level of opponent that was put in front of her here so late.
No, it doesn't matter. I mean, at this point of your career, you know, you're going to be facing fighters that don't have winning records. But normally, we don't face MMA fighters, you know, from that background. Sometimes they can be difficult, Justin. I fought an MMA fight. It's one of my toughest fights because they're accustomed to fighting with small gloves, so they could take a big punch. They're not that skilled. They're not that polished, but they do bring toughness.
And Faria trying to hang in here in the corner. Piñeiro just tagging away for the second straight round, putting her in the corner.
I like the way Faria took that punch. And you can see by the way she just moves away. She doesn't know what to do with her footwork because she squares up and she moves laterally the wrong way because she's not accustomed to being on her feet like this in a boxing ring. You know, in the MMA world, it's mostly, you know, the stand-up is very flat-footed and then you go to the ground. In boxing, you're moving laterally, backwards, and you can't be doing that. You can't be turning your back.
Piñeiro coming in at 7-0, 2 knockouts, and she told us earlier this week that while the record doesn't suggest it, she thinks she carries a lot of good power in her hands.
Every fighter thinks and says that, Justin, but in women's boxing, it's very tough to get knockouts, 1. And 2, if she is going to get this knockout, I think it's going to be when she invests the body, which she's been doing. And I like that she's been doing that so early, but I don't like that Faria has been responding every time she does get hit downstairs.
Faria, like we mentioned, trains in MMA, Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai. She said boxing's still new to her, but it's exciting.
As long as it doesn't get too painful for her. But right now, you know, she's showing her toughness, showing grit, and we have to give her credit for being a short notice opponent against a tall, strong, determined fighter in Piñeiro. So she already passed my test. I'll be honest with you, Justin, because I didn't expect this fight to last too long.
Especially after the first knockdown in the first round.
Not only that,
she wasn't long for this.
Not only that, but you know her lack of footwork, lack of speed, the technique is off. So right now she's just relying on instinct and toughness. So you got to give credit to her.
This is her 5th pro fight as a boxer. And she's competed in 4 different weight classes in those 5 fights.
Yeah, that's just a natural fighter. You can't teach that. You know, that's just character in a fighter. The fact that you're willing to fight anyone, anytime, at any weight class. I mean, normally you're supposed to be responsible, but you know, just born fighters like that, you gotta applaud.
Her debut last summer was.
You're able to give your back like that.
Beginning of the 4th round, this one's scheduled for 8 between Piñeiro and Faria. Steph Piñeiro in the orange and white kit, the Puerto Rican native, 34 years of age. You see the size difference. And even if she was in the ring with a fellow natural welterweight, the size difference probably would have gone in favor of Piñeiro. She's a tall southpaw here.
Yeah, she is, and now she's not a southpaw, turning to the orthodox stance. I like seeing that. Whenever fighters get too comfortable, you know, they like to give their opponents a different look. You know, but in women's boxing, you don't see much of it. But the confidence is there with Piñeiro doing both. And now going back to the left-handed stance. You know, I would like to see her jab a little bit more. You know, to not only to get Faria to commit to something, but to set up the big left hand.
Oh, she rocked her with a right hook.
Big right hook. Faria took that well. I'd like to see a left uppercut behind that right hook now, because Faria's falling over now because the balance is going off and the legs are wearing. So now look for right hook and uppercuts coming from the southpaw and Piñeiro. There's one right there, but to the body.
Piñeiro trying to size her up as, again, they go to the corner. That's where she's done the brunt of her work in the early half of this fight. Big swing and a miss by Faria.
See right there, a jab could be, you know, implemented to stop the movement. And she's squared up. Faria squared up. You can throw that jab to the chest or to the belly.
Damaged her a little bit.
Yeah, and the fact that she didn't put her down, and Faria came back with shots of her own. So I would think that she got the respect of Piñeiro already also.
Start around 5. Faria sneaking in a straight right hand. Again, Kalindra Faria, 2-2. She has been stopped before in her short boxing career. 38 years of age, out of Sao Paulo, Brazil.
Yeah, no, and the 2 wins that she does have are you know, against winless opponents. She's fought winless opponents before, so she hasn't fought the best. So the resume is, of course, on the Piñeiro side. But the toughness, I mean, both fighters are showing their toughness, but especially, you know, the fighter that just came on short notice in Faria.
Piñeiro telling Faria to stand toe-to-toe with her in the middle of the ring.
And now
there's no reason for Faria to abide by that, that's
no
for
way.
sure.
And now it's Faria turning southpaw, trying to give Piñeiro a different look.
What's the frustrating part about this if you're Piñeiro here?
Well, the fact that you're in there with a fighter that you didn't prepare for. It's a short notice opponent, so you didn't prepare for her style because you didn't know what her style is. Those big left hands right there.
And now she's peppering a stationary Faria. Melva Santos with a close eye, and again, it's going to take a lot to hurt Faria and put her out, but
yeah, she's tough. She's a tough fighter, and she's still trying to loop her shots, trying to land a big shot on the taller opponent. You know, whenever you got tall opponents like that get irresponsible and just walk in, look, like that right there, that punch would have landed if Faria threw it with intention. You know, so she has the right idea. She just doesn't have the speed and the explosiveness to land it on Piñeiro.
1-2. Stephanie Piñeiro entered fight week thinking that she was needing to earn a win over what would have been her most accomplished opponent to date in Ogilita Suarez. Instead, she's really fighting a huge question mark in front of her in Kalindra Faria, not knowing the style. And we've obviously seen the volume punching and the damage inflicted by Piñeiro, but this is a tough Faria. And a right and a left both connect there against the Brazilian.
And going to the sixth round, you would think that the legs would start wearing on Faria since she wasn't prepared for this fight. She comes from the MMA world, but her legs are still under her. She has a nice strength in it. You know, I don't see her wobbling or falling off balance. So again, we got to give credit. I'm giving credit to Kalindra Faria for being in this fight and getting her respect. You know, she's landed some licks in there too as well. Still trying to land shots like that.
Again, Piñeiro saying that she knows she needs to impress here tonight. She's high on the rankings, but this is only her 7th pro fight. She hasn't fought off the island yet. Just to push the envelope a little bit.
This is when Piñeiro should jump on Faria. She's not a natural southpaw, but look, she's giving you that southpaw look. So why don't you attack her when she's not on a familiar stance? You know, my trainer always tells me, if you're fighting an orthodox fighter and they switch to the left-handed, that's not their natural stance, so that's when you attack.
Quality combo from Faria, probably her best sequence of this match so far.
Absolutely, because she's punching over the top now. And you can see that Piñeiro's a little bit frustrated. She's looking for ways in to hurt, you know, Faria, but she just can't find one. Even though she landed something big there, Faria took it well.
Straight left laces Faria. Kicked it into second gear in the second half of that round. Seventh round of this 8-round scheduled match at welterweight. Our opening bout of the night here on Before the Bell, all leading into the main card coming up at 8 local, 7 Eastern. Leoparo and Richardson Hitchens battling for the IBF Super Lightweight title here in San Juan. Getting a little lively here. We got the band entering the building, Sergio.
Oh, let the music begin.
Yes.
Can you salsa, Justin?
You know, I never tried, so I don't know.
There you go. Maybe you could try tonight.
Hey, there you go. Piñeiro coming forward.
Good step back there by Piñeiro. I love seeing that. Even though she's a flat-footed, you know, come-forward fighter, right there, she showed a little agility stepping back to counter, you know, Faria. I love seeing that. I mean, she has dimensions. Stephanie Piñeiro has dimensions to her game, and you can see that she was a polished amateur.
Member of the Puerto Rican national team. Entering tonight, she had lost exactly 1 round in her 7 previous fights as a pro.
See right here, the taller fighter should be jabbing, you know, poking at that eye, busting her up from the outside, because right now it's Faria that's trying to move laterally and try to, you know, use the time. You don't want to allow her to get her conditioning back and use that clock. You just want to keep popping her with that jab and popping that busted eye.
Another beautiful left hand landing moments ago from Piñeiro. The straight left present throughout these fights for Piñeiro that we've seen this year.
You know, that jab, you know, it could do a lot of damage, especially when you're as tall and rangy and have those wide shoulders. But the thing about it comes from a different style. I just know she doesn't know how to move laterally like that. That's her only way. But she can fight, man, and she has a fighting spirit. We got to give Kalindra Faria some credit here, a lot of credit.
8th and final round of our opening bout. Piñeiro and Faria. And Piñeiro coming out super aggressive in the 8th and final round.
And you can even see it in the corner of Faria. Her trainer's getting up like they're winning the fight. They're just excited to be in this fight. The fact that they're being competitive and showing spirit. And that's why I'm saying, you know, we got to respect Faria for what she's doing here against a solid, undefeated, you know, fighter in Piñeiro.
Also a natural welterweight in Piñeiro.
And naturally bigger and stronger as well. So all the credit in the world for this late replacement. And the damage she's taking. I mean, look at her face. Look at her eyes. You know, the blood. You know, all that stuff wears on a fighter, especially when you weren't prepared to fight against an opponent. And look, shots like that.
Quality uppercut from Piñeiro.
Quality uppercut by Piñeiro, but Faria came right back with a hook of her own.
And we say all this about Faria, and I'd be hard-pressed to give a round to the Brazilian. So Piñeiro obviously doing a great job on her way to potentially pitching a shutout here to open up before the bell.
No, she hasn't won a round, but she just held her own. You know, she's losing these rounds. Held her own. She should keep her head up, her chin in the air, because she came and she's doing what she can.
Look, she didn't have these weekend plans on Monday.
No, she did not. And here she is in front of this, this monster in front of her, coming right at her like Frankenstein nonstop. Good body shot there by Piñeiro. Piñeiro's a really good body puncher for a very tall southpaw fighter.
Final 25 seconds. Another straight left landing on Faria. Piñeiro trying to scorecards here.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 8 rounds of action here in San Juan, we go to the judges' scorecards. They all read the same, 80-71. For your winner by unanimous decision, La Medicina, Stephanie Piñeiro.